Alright, so today we have a John Deere 4039 and an air compressor. This machine has not started for, I've been told, about 15 years. So the injection pump is more than likely varnished inside and needs to be rebuilt. The injectors also will be replaced. So we're going to go ahead and pull the valve cover, set it on TDC of number 1, and get this injection pump removed. Okay, we have the valve cover off. We were able to verify through the injection pump test spec that number 1 is off of the 5 o'clock position, and we've traced the line up to here. So this is cylinder number 1. We do have both of our rockers are loose. We're going to go ahead and pull the injectors out and put a probe down the injector board just to make sure that we are in fact on compression stroke at top dead center. Okay, we got the injectors pulled, and now we're just going to verify through the hole of injector number 1 that we are on top dead center of compression stroke. So in order for us to verify we are on top dead center of number 1, we made this rod to go down the injector bore, and as the piston comes up the bore, the rod rises, and you take it up until the rod no longer climbs and you still have valve overlap on the intake and exhaust valves on the compression stroke. Now over here, the rod's going all the way down on number 2, so the piston is at the bottom of the stroke, and that's how you verify. Now that we have found top dead center, we now need to access the drive shaft nut access port. We get to pull the drive shaft nut off and use a gear puller to separate the tapered shaft from the drive gear of the motor. Okay, so I removed the access plate and the drive shaft nut. I always pull the lock washer out with a magnet so I don't accidentally drop it down inside the motor. Okay, the injection pump is out. The good news is this particular engine has a Woodruff key in the drive gear of the motor. Woodruff key on the injection pump. So while it was good we did all that timing procedure, the most important thing is if the Woodruff key aligns up in the slot and is not misaligned upon installation and crushed, the timing should be pretty close. Alright, we got the injection pump opened up, and we do have varnishing and contamination inside, which does go along with how long it was sitting. Okay, I wanted to take the time to emphasize cleanliness on a fresh fuel injection system. Most technicians would just grab a fuel filter, slap it on the fuel filter head, prime it, and fire it up and send it out the door. But there's a few problems with that. This was the original filter that came off. I disassembled the fuel filter head, and this is what's down inside. So this fuel filter head definitely needs to be serviced, sonic washed, and prepped so that we don't contaminate our fresh fuel system. The other issue is there are also O-rings on a lot of these pieces, and they go flat. So you also have an air ingress problem. Start sucking air and it loses its prime. So anyway, just can't emphasize enough. Be very thorough with all your fuel injection lines, fuel filter heads, to avoid cross-contamination. Okay, so here we have our contaminated fuel filter head. We're going to go ahead and drop this thing in the sonic wash, get it cleaned up, and we'll see how it comes out. Alright, so we got the fuel filter head all cleaned up. Looks much, much better. I've got all new O-rings in my fittings. I also had to upgrade these fittings because the old ones are plastic and they were stripped out. So I've got metal fittings put in there. New O-rings for the top cap. So now this thing is clean. It won't have any air ingress problems. We've got our high pressure pipes all cleaned up. And then we've got our brand new injectors, OEM Standardine. And we're just waiting on the injection pump to finish up with calibration. Okay, the injection pump is now calibrated, fresh off the test stand, set to factory specifications. It is ready for installation. We recommend that you brake clean off the drive shaft taper with brake clean on the pump, as well as the taper on the drive gear of the motor. The injector bores inside the cylinder head we cleaned out with wire brushes and brake clean. This thing is ready to assemble. Okay, so I've got the injection pump mounted. I made sure that my pump was timed in the proper position. I haven't moved the motor, but just to be safe, I still visually inspect to make sure my woodruff key was aligning up with the slot on the drive gear. And then I will usually come in from behind and use a mirror and a flashlight, and I will look in there just to make absolutely sure that I did not misalign my woodruff key before I put on the drive shaft nut and accidentally crush it. And if it's misaligned, you'll have to remove the pump, reclock it, and try again. But I'm going to go ahead and put on the nut and lock washer and get this thing torqued up and back together. Okay, we got all the lines bled out and tightened up, and this thing should be ready to start. And we're just going to torque these to the spec.